sometime. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first round of my Gothtober sprints, although my co-hosts Hannah and Tish have both done reading sprints already, but I hope you're ready to read, or if you're using these as productivity sprints, get a lot of things done. And I'm joined by two guests at the moment, but there are two more who will be coming. But if you want to introduce yourselves.
Do you want to go first, Kasha?
Sure. So I'm Kasha from Kasha's Book Cemetery. I mostly read horrors and thrillers, but I do love the occasional romance and other genres. So yeah, that's basically me.
I'm Amy McCaw. I tend to review a lot of YA books on my channel, but I also read a lot of horror too. You can find me at Amy McCaw, which I've written on the as my name too. And I also write books. So I wrote Mina and the Undead and Mina and the Slayers, and it's been lovely now that it's spooky season to see quite a lot of people tagging me in those. So yeah, this is a fun time of year for me as a reader and a writer, definitely.
Great. And I'm Olivia Savannah from Olivia's Catastrophe, and you're on my channel watching this live at the moment. And it's good to see people trickling in, already getting ready with what they're going to read.
Ooh.
Hello, hello. Oh, need help to decide what to read next.
I've only read the Final Girl Support Group. I thought it was fun. I haven't read the other one, so.
Yeah, same here. Final Girl Support Group, I think, is good if you're a slasher movie fan like me and Kasha. It has lots of movie references. And yeah, I think it's probably not my favourite Grady Hendrix read, but I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I would recommend that one. And yeah, I don't know what Dead Inside is, but I like the title. It sounds interesting.
I haven't heard of Dead Inside, but I know of the Final Girl Support Group, and I have not read it yet because I'm a bit scared too. I love what I have read of Grady Hendrix, but people have said it's not his best, so I'm like, do I go there next? Do I not?
I think it depends what you like, because his books tend to be quite different for me. There are some things that are similar through them all, but then some are just completely out there and different. Like, I think Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, it has quite a different vibe to it, and like My Best Friend's Exorcism does as well. So yeah, I think if you're a Grady Hendrix fan, you'll probably enjoy it, but it has its own specific like slasher feel, I think, that one.
Have people been watching can you watch it yet, My Best Friend's Exorcism?
Yes.
You can.
Yeah, I haven't
It was
watched
released
it yet.
on Prime last Friday. I think Monday? Friday, I think.
Is it a movie or is it a TV show?
It's a movie.
Okay.
And Grady Hendrix is an executive producer, so he was somehow involved.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to that. Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, everybody.
Gothic friends.
Appropriate.
Ooh, Long Live the Pumpkin Queen. I like that title.
I really want to read it. It's is it Shay Earnshaw's take on Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas? I really want it, but I want the hardcover with Sally on the front, so I've held off buying it because it seems to be quite hard to get that one.
Oh, I'm going to take a note of that book because it sounds good in that case.
Yeah, I keep seeing it with that cover that I want, so I haven't managed to get it yet.
Mexican Gothic on my books I hope to read for Gothtober. I need to read it finally.
That's a good choice. I enjoyed it. Especially if you like Dracula, I think you will enjoy it.
Oh, why haven't I read it yet? I need to add that to my list as well.
First reading sprint. Oh, a thriller. I've heard such good things about Claire McIntosh. Woman Eating is another one on my list of books that I want to try and fit in Gothtober because it just sounds so much like something I'm going to enjoy.
I really want to read Certain Dark Things as well because it's a vampire book I've not read, and I'm kind of working my way through reading as many as I can, but yeah, not that one yet.
I think Woman Eating is also about vampires, just like a more realistic take on it.
Oh, okay.
It's about a girl, I think, that craves blood or something like that. Something I don't remember exactly. Yeah.
She craves blood, and she also craves like the Japanese rich food from her culture, and it's about her trying to divide between those two things.
Okay, that sounds really interesting. I'm going to have to like watch this again afterwards and write down all the book names.
Patricia Wants to Cuddle sounds like a very cute title.
It does. It really does. I wonder if it's as cute as it sounds.
Don't think so.
I was gonna say, I love how we're going from like women eating and vampires to like Patricia wants to cuddle.
Exactly.
I really liked House of Hollow. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
And I love Little Fires Everywhere. I hope you enjoy the end. Which brings me to ask, what will you two be doing or reading in these first rounds of sprints?
So I will be writing because I'm desperately trying to draft a new thing that I want to finish by the end of the year, and I don't know whether I'm going to manage it, but I'm trying. And I'm also reading Friendo Lives. I've got about 100 pages left, I think. So I'm at that bit where everything's just kicking off and going wrong, like slasher movie style. Have you finished this one yet, Kasha?
Yes, I approve.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
It's like a sequel should be. There's more deaths and there is more like attacks and stuff. So I think he did go up, in the sequel as they should.
Yeah, I think the main characters feel quite in peril as well in this one without giving too much away, which is bold because I know that you get really attached to characters the further you get on into a series. Yeah, it's good that I still feel like I don't know who's going to make it through, and I like that.
It's also like very bloody and gory for being, I think it's still a YA, so it is pretty intense though. Yeah, I'm like, this is YA. I'm reading it. I'm like, excuse me, like this is YA. Like it's a bit much, but for people, that maybe don't want to go to the adult yet, but
yeah, it feels quite adult. Definitely, I think that the kind of relationships and age of the characters is very YA, but the blood and gore feels quite a lot for me anyway. I have to put it down every now and again and go, I'm going to read something gentle now.
Patricia wants to cuddle.
Well, it sounds gentle, but I'm wondering what kind of cuddles, because if they're like vampire style cuddles, it might not be what I'm thinking. I'm thinking like cute, soft, kind of middle grade cuddling a kitten or something, but it might not be. You never know.
How about you, Kasha? What are you reading?
So I have selected 2 books. One that I have to read for the readathon and one that I want to read just because I've been waiting for this book. So for the readathon, I'm reading The Whisper Man by Alex North, which is a book that I was supposed to have read, but I still haven't. It's a thriller about this guy that whispers to kids on the window, and I don't know if he abducts children or something like that. That's why it's called The Whisper Man. So it's been on my TBR for forever, so it's time. And the other one is a new release, Ghost Eaters, which has one of my absolute favorite covers. I'm really excited about this one. So
yeah, I haven't read Ghost Eaters, but I really liked The Whisper Man. I read a proof of that, so it's quite a long time ago. But yeah, I do remember really liking that.
It's very creepy. And hello, Kelly.
Hi. Sorry, I was a bit late.
No worries. How are you doing? What are you reading? and do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Kelly from Velvet Library. I am partly reading The Eye of the Beholder, which is apparently like female revenge crime spree. I don't know, sounds like a good time. I'm only 3 chapters in, but the writing is very good so far. And I need to do a couple of things. Like at some point I need to take my cat for a walk because he's been cooped up inside for a few days, and like I need to clean his litter box, so I'll probably do all of that during one of the sprints. And then I've got the audio of Howl's Moving Castle, so I'll pop the audio on while I'm doing some chores.
Nice. We have a few other people doing some productivity, like Amy's writing, and yeah, everyone's doing bits and pieces. Hi, Cara.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Do you want to introduce yourself? We're just going around saying what we're reading.
Okay. So, hi everyone. My name is Kara. My channel is Wild Book Garden. I read all kinds of things. Too many to get into now because I do the same little spiel every time. But I have a couple books that I want to focus on. And I thought by assigning prompts to them, I will be forced to finish them. That's usually my thinking. So I've been reading The Divine Comedy for like an embarrassingly long time. I read the section that we need to discuss for our Past It Classics live show, and then I just like put it down. So I'd like to read just a little bit more. I think this is going to have to be one I just read a little bit of every day. So I at least want to get a couple of cantos in that. And then my main book I think I want to focus on is Forestborn by Shannon Hale, which I feel like the like weird tree letters definitely fit a gothic vibe. This is the last book in a series, so that's another reason I want to finish it. And I am enjoying it. I really like the main character, but I feel like the plot of this book is not as interesting to me as the other ones have been. Although thankfully we did just get rid of the character that I didn't care about. Like I don't want anything bad to happen to him, but like he's just like not at all interesting compared to everyone else. So maybe things are going to pick up.
I love that. Just get rid of the characters you don't like.
She just sent him back, and I'm like, okay.
Just run through a couple more what everybody's reading. So we got the latest Juno Dawson book, which looks so promising. I really want to give it a try. And a classic, Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which I really like. I think sometimes gets mixed reviews, but I think it's a good one. Continuing on with Babel, which is very popular for this readathon on lots of people's TBRs.
I'm supposed to be buddy reading Babel with Lizzie and Hannah. I haven't read a single page yet because we've had blackouts at like the most inconvenient times every night this week. So like this is also supposed to be a buddy read, and I'm like 7 or 8 chapters behind already, and I think I'm now 8 chapters behind on Babel, so like things are going really well.
Always time to catch up, maybe?
That's what I'm hoping tonight's going to be.
And yeah, it can count as gothic as you want. You don't have to read gothic books for Gothtober, but yeah, Greek mythology is gothic enough. There's loads of dark things that happen in Greek mythology. And Patricia Wants to Cuddle does not sound as cute as the title suggests.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I'm quite intrigued by that. I'm probably more intrigued now that I've read that than the title.
Okay, one last currently reading. Oh, I haven't even said what I'm reading. I am going to finish Clash of Kings. I've got 20 pages left, so hopefully in the first sprint I can finish it. I've been currently reading this book for over 5 years.
That's amazing. I feel like this is the end of an era.
I know. So yes, I'll finish this, and then not to make Amy cringe, I am reading.
God. I'm just gonna hide behind my foot. No, it's fine. I've been in this position before. I can cope. I think I'll manage. It feels very weird, but I love it. So thank you for that.
I mean, it's off to a very good start. There's lots of horror film references right at the beginning, and I was like, "Oh, I've seen this one. I know what this is referring to."
Thank you.
So it was very cute.
Thank you.
Shall we start with a warm-up sprint of 30 minutes, and then they'll get into 45 minutes as we go through?
Yeah, that sounds good.
So we'll be reading until 1:15. See you then. I hope it went well for everyone.
Hi.
We've had some more people join us in the time. Hello. I am very, very excited to hear that you're reading The Raven Boys. I really hope you love it. Flick in the Dark. Hi, Joan. Hi, Ali.
Hi, Ellie.
I hope you feel better soon, Emma. Don't feel like you need to read. Get rest.
Yeah, lots of rest.
Lots of rest. And Ordinary Monsters, which I've heard is a very good gothic feeling fantasy. How did the sprints go for all of you?
I somehow wrote 500 words, so I'm really happy with that. I think being on sprints makes me super productive somehow. I feel like people are watching me, so I have to behave. I did message my friend briefly at the beginning as well, and then I just kind of, I'm writing a fun scene set in a club, so it kind of all just came out of me.
Nice. How did it go for you, Kasha?
I read 40 pages, which is not bad. So far, so good. I mean, it's basically just the intro, so kind of like the synopsis. The first kid has went missing, and 50 years ago or many years ago, there was this whisper man, but he's supposedly in jail. So why is another kid now gone missing? So that's basically the gist of the first 40 pages, but so far, so good.
Solid start. How about you, Kelly?
I read about 6 pages of I Have a Beholder, and then I did manage to clean my cat's litter box. I took the rubbish out, and I listened to half a chapter of Howl's Moving Castle.
Very productive. The fun chores. How about you, Cara?
It was good. I read 3 cantos of the Divine Comedy, which actually is a lot for me to read at once. Because like generally I feel like I can only do a little bit at a time. And so far, this appears to be a somewhat unpopular opinion. I don't know if you can have an unpopular opinion about something as like iconic as the Divine Comedy. But if so, I feel like it is a slightly unpopular opinion that so far I'm actually liking the Purgatory section a little more than Inferno. I don't know. Like I find it more, there's more kinds of interesting stuff to talk about, and I feel like the writing's a little easier to understand. So I'm enjoying that. And then to reward myself for doing 3 cantos, I did some other computer stuff that I had to do.
I like this mashup of like reading and productivity we have going on
Yes.
here. Mine was more mashup of like reading and procrastinating because I did finish A Clash of Kings. It is done.
Yeah. 5 years, yeah.
I know.
I
Rage.
I feel like with this series, it's like I like it a lot, but now reading, because I read Game of Thrones when I was quite young, I can see how many issues there are with the book, and it is a bit overwritten, especially this one at like 800, 900 pages almost. But I still want to keep reading the series, so it's a bit,
That's something.
yeah.
And
And then I
tried the
just
audio books because that might make it a bit more palatable, maybe.
which books?
The audio books of them. I'm just wondering if they're any good. That might help you to get through it.
I did try to switch to the audiobook, but I did not like the narrator.
Okay.
It didn't sound how they sound when I read them, because I was thinking I can speed through this, but it's fine reading it physically because yeah, I'm having a good time. I realize there's problems, but I'm still generally speaking having a good time. Yeah, but how did everybody else do? Yeah, then I went on Instagram and I shouldn't have opened Instagram. 26 pages, very good progress. I think this is the most important productivity of us all.
It really is.
Lots of pages in. I'm glad you're doing okay. I hope someone's there to spoil you with comfort.
Yes.
Fans of the
I'm
Whisper
hoping.
Man.
I'm hoping.
More fans of the Whisper Man.
Ooh, It's funny because it's an older book and it's been on my TBR forever. So my expectations are nowhere at this point. When it's been so long, you're like, was really excited? What happened? Like, I don't know. So might be a good thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I really want to read Belladonna.
You want to read Belladonna?
Yeah, it sounds really good. And the cover's amazing.
I love the UK cover. It's so much prettier than the US one.
I haven't seen the US one actually, and I think there's been different editions in the UK as well.
It's not like a bad cover, but I just feel like the UK paperbacks are like 9 times out of 10. Maybe it's just that I like the design aesthetic of them more. It's not necessarily like our covers are ugly, but I think our covers are ugly sometimes.
Sometimes I do like the US cover a bit more, like the Akwaeke Emezi, You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty.
Yes.
I just look at the US cover and
yeah, that is a beautiful one.
Lots of progress. Hi, I didn't realize you were here. Hello. I hope you're enjoying the Blade. I think buddy read discussions are very important.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes that happens.
Oh,
Sometimes that happens. I don't actually know how to pronounce any of these characters' names properly. I've heard a few of them from the TV series, but some of them I'm just making it up in my head.
Yeah.
I think if you read before you go to sleep, usually it means that as soon as you open a book, it's like trying to go to sleep. Do you guys read before bed, or are you just...
I try to, but I end up falling asleep at some point as well.
My toddler has this thing where he senses that I'm ready to go to bed and then he wakes up. So I always go upstairs with a book in my hand, like ready, and then he wakes up and I have to put the book down. So I always plan to, and it never happens. Like, he knows, he can tell when Mummy's going to read, and that's it.
Yeah, I normally read before bed.
I do too, but I don't make the transition to actually reading in bed until I'm like ready to go to sleep pretty soon.
Interesting. I think Hamlet can definitely be considered cottagecore, and Northanger Abbey.
I'd say that one's more like traditional Gothic feeling. I don't know. I wouldn't say cottagecore because most of it takes place in London.
Yeah, that's true. That's not very cottagecore.
The one Jane Austen I haven't read, and because it's the only one I've got left, I don't want to read it because then I've read them all. But now you said Gothic, I'm like, oh, maybe I need to read it.
I was exactly the same. It was my last one to read, and I didn't know that it was Gothic. So when I opened it, I was like, this is so different.
Yes. It's one of hers that like I needed a couple of rereads to actually like really appreciate it because it's so different. And I feel like, I mean, with any of her books, it's like if you go in expecting it to feel like one of your favorites, it's not going to. And that's one of the things that makes her books great is, I think, is that like they're about similar ideas, but they do it so differently. Like I'm really impressed by that, but it makes it hard to like understand your feelings. Like when I read Mansfield Park, I'm like, what? Like, it's so different.
Meanwhile, I was like, yes, Mansfield Park, it's me. Well, not anymore, but back in the day, I was like, it's me.
That's another one that I appreciate a lot more on reread.
It seems like there's a comparison happening here, but I have never heard of this book.
Isn't Mysteries of Udolpho doesn't she read that in Northanger Abbey?
Yeah.
Oh, right, cool.
I haven't finished it. That's the only thing I remember.
The answer to this question is yes. Definitely. For the vibes. And also, Clash of Kings is not as scary as I'm probably making it sound right now. It's long.
I read the whole series back to back, so I had no problem.
Oh man.
Wow.
Yeah, I was so invested in the first one. I was like, I have to keep going now, or I'm gonna get so out of it because there's so many characters and so many like threads in the book and storylines, and I'm like, if I get out of this now, I'm never gonna get back. So I just went back to back all the books. So yeah, it's
Impressive.
possible. It's possible.
That's how you should do it. I did love the first one a lot, like so
Yeah.
much. Such a good first book.
Same.
Oh, Anne Radcliffe. Okay, I know the author. I've been meaning to read something by Anne Radcliffe for a reason.
I was gonna say that's one of the things, like, when people talk about reading it, I'm like, this is a really long book for, like, I don't know, longer than I thought, I guess. Like, very descriptive, I think, which can be hard for me.
That's fair. That is fair. I also agree that it's best to wait for the last book. I made the mistake of reading The Name of the Wind, and now I have to wait like everybody else. And
Yeah.
And thanks for joining us, Susie. Are we feeling like we want to do another sprint? You feeling ready?
Yeah.
I do want to
Yeah.
ask, how's your Gothtober going so far?
So I think Friendo Lives ticks off the murder mystery prompt because Gothtober, I've been doing so many readathons, I'm like losing track of what. So Gothtober's the one where it's like different prompts for everybody slightly,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have my list of prompts and I know that they won't be the same as everyone's, but yeah, it definitely ticks off murder mystery and not an LGBTQ plus author as far as I know, but there are some characters with different backgrounds, so I don't know whether I can maybe tick off some others of those, but yeah, certainly the murder mystery one is going to help me tick off. And like I said, I've nearly finished, but this is the first book of the month for me, so for me this is quite slow so far.
Yeah, I'm also starting today with the Whisperman for the readathon. So, but I've tried to double up a little bit. I have my whole list, and I'm trying to double up a little bit so that I can make it.
Yeah, I also am doing like a bunch of readathons at once, as always, so I can like kind of cross count books. But I finally finished Amari and the Night Brothers, which I really enjoyed. Like I finally finished because I've been meaning to read that book for ages, and like especially as somebody who reads a lot of middle grade, I was like, it's ridiculous that I haven't read this yet. I also finished the Empty Smiles book by Katherine Arden, which is like the last book in her spooky middle grade series, which I really loved. Yeah, really enjoyed
I keep
that one.
literally every readathon I've done recently, people have said you need to read Small Spaces, and I've gone, yes, I
It's
do,
so
and then
It's
not done
so
anything
good.
about it. So
Yeah.
I do need to order it.
Yeah, I really recommend it. Like I did not care for her other series, and I still really enjoyed this one.
Okay,
And then the other thing I want to say about Gothtober is I'm so glad we started with the crafting live show because it's gotten me back into knitting. Like that's something I always like put off because I forget how much I love it and how much like how relaxing it is. And I've been like super motivated to like finish the projects I've been ignoring for like a couple years. So thanks, Gothtober.
You made me want to knit the other night. I haven't picked up any knitting for years, and I'm really bad at it. I literally can knit a scarf, but I just find it really relaxing. So I just make enormous things that are all the same length and width.
One of the things, and I think I said this even during the crafting live show, one of the things that I love about knitting and that I think makes it a really good, I don't know, like a hobby to kind of pick up is that it's really, really easy to like not make it more complicated until you want to, you know? Like it's really easy to scale up difficulty when you get bored. Like there was a long period of time where I was basically making rectangles. Like I did scarves and sometimes a hat and like that was it. And then by the time I was like bored of that, I felt like, okay, I'm like ready to try something else. So I hope you do pick it up again. It's really fun and really relaxing.
Yeah, thank you. I do the thing though where I don't do it for a while and I lose all the stuff. So I'm like, oh, I've got to buy more needles and wool and everything.
Yeah. Or I also do where like I forget, like I'm in the middle of a project and I come up on a part where I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this part. Like this is going to be difficult, or I have to like figure out how to do this thing, or like sometimes I even just like realize I'm going to run out of yarn and I have to figure out another color, and I like put it down. I'm like, I'll deal with that later. And then like 6 months go by, and by the time I'm like ready to pick it up again, I'm like, I basically have to reteach myself this pattern, and it's my own fault. I do that a lot.
Yeah, I really want to do it. I like the fact that I can just switch off on it because I only do literally one stitch. It's so easy, and I can just relax and do other stuff while I'm doing it.
Yep.
How about you, Kelly? How's Gothtober going?
That is the extent of what I've read for Gothtober. And my 4 chapters of Hale's Moving Castle. But I've set a book for every prompt, but I do have quite a lot of room to double up. So I think I possibly could. I have 4 buddy reads this month, and I think I probably could hit all of my prompts with just the buddy reads. Worst case scenario, but yeah, hopefully it'll pick up in the next week.
Yeah, I love doubling up just for that reason, because it can help so much, but you don't even have to do all of the prompts. Like, we do try and make Gothtober as chill as possible, because we as hosts are sometimes a bit too stressful as people. So we try to make a readathon where you don't have to be stressed. And inevitably we might end up stressing about things anyway. But yeah, lots of people who are not reading The Name of the Wind because of it being unfinished. And I've definitely felt that with fan fiction. I don't start fan fictions that are not finished anymore.
Yep.
I hope you have fun with your sister. That is a very long way away, and with the pandemic, you probably couldn't see each other for ages. So have fun with your sister over here. Those sound like a very good lineup. I really want to watch Black Butler. I've heard it's a very good anime. Crochet Gang.
Oh, cute.
Love that.
Okay, shall we read for 45 minutes and go until 10:15?
Yes.
Okay, see you all in a bit. Happy reading. That's the end of our next reading sprint. How did it go?
Good. Hit my daily writing target, read 1,097 words just in that time. So thank you for that. So I get to read in the last one. Hooray!
Nice.
I made it 53 pages into Ghost Eaters. So far, it's a little bit depressing because we follow some characters that have some drug problems, and one of them is being forced into rehab, but always breaks out of rehab, and now they're trying to do an intervention and stuff. So fun times.
I read, I think, 10 pages, but I listened to about a chapter and a half of Howl's Moving Castle while we went on a little walk around my building.
Nice.
I read about 3 chapters, I think, of Forestborn. I'm almost halfway, so I'm hoping that I could maybe, because like it's pretty early in my time zone. It's like only 1 p.m. So I think I might be able to finish this later today. We'll see, and then I can reward myself with starting a new book. Because I was getting stressed about how many I'm reading at one time. So I'm like really focusing on finishing some things. What a concept! But I'm liking it more now. I think the plot is picking up. I just like, I understand why this is important for the story, but I just feel so bad for the main character because like she is constantly like reflecting everybody else kind of like, and it's related to like what her magic is and everything, and it's just really sad because it's like you're just seeing her like not feel like she's her own person, and like that she doesn't even really exist because she's just like trying to borrow other people's like strength and stuff, and it's like not written in a sad way, but like the concept is very sad, so I'm like hoping that she, you know, gets some progress with that.
I feel like we've got lots of sad books on the go right now.
Yeah. This is Sadtober sprints.
Yes. I read just over 50 pages of Mina and the Undead, and it was also a bit sad because, yeah, this one does have to do with murder, and some murder has happened. But yeah, I also had to disappear and get the spider that has been running around my flat, and I did manage to get it this time.
Oh, good.
I saw it like 2 days ago, and it just like ran very fast. So I was like, "It lives here with me now. I would really like to catch it." And it was staying still, so I thought, now's the time.
That's the worst, when you know it's there, but you don't know where it is. It just like disappears. So it's just somewhere.
Yeah. But I closed all the like vents now because I think we forgot to do it post summer, start autumn season, spider season. So now all the vents are closed. But yes, let's see how other people's reading went. I always find it nice. Like, I know you're not supposed to watch something and then read it, but sometimes I think it can be nice to see that connection between the book and the film. Or are you guys all very much like read it and then watch it?
I don't really mind. I think it just depends. Like quite often, if I've loved something, I then pick up the book. Like I loved Warm Bodies, the film, and then read the book, and actually ended up preferring the film in that case. So I think it just depends for me. Quite often, it is the other way around. Though I read the book and then they make the film, so I watch it then. Yeah, it just depends. I'm not too like it has to be the book and nothing else. I tend to like both quite often.
I usually prefer to start with the book, but there's kind of like Amy was saying, there's like a few exceptions. And actually, there's a few books that I like know in advance that I want to watch first. Like my friend Mary Margaret was telling me that when I want to read Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell, that I should actually watch the miniseries first because she like died before she finished writing the novel, and she says it really helps to like kind of see like the miniseries finishes it a little bit more, So it's good to go into the book kind of knowing where things end up. So there's like some specific cases that I know I want to watch first.
I think my taste in things that I watch is also a lot broader than my taste in books. So I realized I used to be a complete purist where I was like, I have to read the book before I watch the movie or the TV show. And then I just realized that there are some things where I'll enjoy watching it, but like I'm never going to read the book. So like The Godfather, amazing movie. I'm never going to read the book. So yeah, now I kind of sometimes I'll read the book first, but more and more I'm actually finding that I don't mind watching the thing first, even if I do want to read the book, because I feel like if the book's better, then it's still better, but at least then I've got to enjoy like the film or the TV adaptation for what it is without comparing it to the book.
So I tried to read the book, but I watch too many things, so I cannot really keep up with everything, especially if it's not horror, because it's mostly what I read. So a lot of things, I'm aware that there is a book, and I see, okay, if I like the movie enough, I might give the book a chance because it's not really my genre, but I might give it a go. And some things are just in preparation for it. I read the book, like I did. There's someone inside my house. I knew Netflix was coming out with an adaptation, so I'm like, okay, let me grab the book and read it. And The Midnight Club by Christopher Pike is coming out tomorrow on Netflix, and I read the book already. So like some things, if I have time, I will read them before it comes out. But it tends to be thrillers or horror.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I feel like, yeah, it's interesting to see Pixie who likes watching the film first and then gets a deeper meaning of it. I think I've seen some people say the same thing. And I kind of do this where if it's manga, I will always watch the anime first, just because manga is so expensive here translated that I'm like, I want to know I like this if I'm going to invest in buying all of them. But I do try to read the book first, but also it can take me years. Like I just watched Bird Box recently, and yeah, that's been out for quite a while now. And yeah, it makes sense to get more attached to whichever thing you read or watch first. The best thing to do, in my opinion, is not to do it immediately afterwards. Like if you finish the book, don't immediately go and watch the film, or if you watch the film, don't immediately go and read the book. Give yourself some space.
Yeah, it's good advice.
Oh no, no worries. Get some rest. Reading is an intense sport for the mind.
Oh, awesome, Lizzie. I want to know what you think of that. I feel like you're a good barometer for whether I'm going to enjoy Babel or not.
Lots of distractions, but also reading. Oh, nice. How many pages have you got until the end? That makes me very excited to read it because I think it's helpful when you can just fly through a book. So many people near the end of their books. Fun, fun, fun.
Yeah, that's a good example.
I also feel that way about The Haunting of Hill House, how it's completely different TV series and book, but both very, very good.
Yeah, I think The Beach is the example I always give. I love the book. It's one of my favourites. Leonardo DiCaprio in the film, totally different from the main character. Like, he's not English and looks completely different, but I kind of love them both and saw them as two pretty separate entities. So yeah, it can work if you love something. Sometimes then the other thing doesn't match up, but you can end up just with two different things that you love. So
Right.
More writing, enjoying Mexican Gothic. Any reading is good, even with distractions. I prefer to not live with this one if I had a choice.
That's how dedicated you are to the Gothtober theme.
I know, right? Living with my greatest fear. Look at that. I'm taking suggestions for names. I don't think I could bring myself to name the spider. very close to the end. If you read another 50 pages in the sprint, in the like last sprint, probably the last sprint, you'll be really close to the end. Yeah, nice.
Okay, that's good. I tend to struggle sometimes with fantasy if it's a bit too like slow and immersive in the world building, just because I can't keep it all in my head. Yeah, I'm tempted to give that one a go, I think.
I went to book club for Babel on Monday. I only read 125 pages when I went to book club, but it was so interesting hearing everybody talk about it as a fantasy, because I primarily read it because I'd heard it being a dark academia.
Oh, okay.
And now nobody seems to mention that it's dark academia anymore.
Oh, okay. How did you read? Like, how does it feel to you so far? Does it feel more like fantasy, or does it feel more dark academia?
I think so far, like being at the beginning, still fairly at the beginning with 100 pages, it feels very dark academia, more than fantasy, but maybe the fantasy comes in later.
I feel like I've heard people describe it as both. Like they'll call it like a dark academia fantasy. I don't know, which I love fantasy, not a fan of dark academia. So I have no idea how I'll feel about it when I eventually get there.
What
Maybe
don't
we
you
should
like?
read at the same time, because I'm at the other end of that. I'm more dark academia than fantasy. So maybe we can support each other through that.
Right.
What don't you like about dark academia? I'm curious.
I also haven't read very much of it, so it's possible that there's more variety than I'm giving it credit for. I don't like the general like premises that seem to happen a lot, and I don't feel like it's one of those like subgenres that kind of like uses vibes to replace like character work. And I can love an atmospheric book, but I still want to like feel like I really get to know the characters, and I feel like the kinds of characters and the tropes just don't work for me as much. Like I think dark academia is one of those genres where like people expect all the characters to be horrible people, which I can sometimes get on board with, but I still need to like care what's happening to them, and I often don't. And I also just feel like dark academia can be very pretentious sometimes. But again, I haven't read as much of it as other genres, so maybe I'll find some that isn't.
Pretentious almost all the time.
Okay. I was like, I don't want to like make generalizations if they're not true, but
I tend to like it, and I do think it does tend to have unlikable characters. And I'm someone who doesn't like unlikable characters usually, but it usually does it in a way where there's something about them that I still like, or I feel like they're unlikable because they're emotionally struggling with something that they've got to get past.
Well, and one of the things I love about Silvia Moreno Garcia's books is she is one of the best authors I've seen with characters that I don't like, but I don't hate reading about them. Because I think that's really impressive. Like there's a difference for me between like, I understand why you're the way you are, but I hate every time you're in this book, versus like, I understand you and you interest me and I want to keep reading. So I think if I can find dark academia that's more that way, I might get on better with it. But yeah.
I think you should try Babel again, because also reading Babel, I just realized how few of the dark academias I've read had people of color protagonists, and it's a very different portrayal of like the university study life, and you can't be as pretentious when you don't have that entitlement. So I haven't read Legendborn, which also is like dark academia fantasy book, but I feel like that and Babel are the two dark academia like person of color main character narratives that seem to be doing it a bit different, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons that I want to try those, is because I feel like it's going to actually comment on some of the issues I have with dark academia. I think another thing that gets me is like, I find it frustrating when a book's focus or message is like, everything's terrible, so ethics aren't real. Like I find that very annoying, and I feel like dark academia does that a lot. I'm like, no, you still suck as a person. Like I understand that like, you know, life is difficult for everyone, but that doesn't mean you get to like be difficult, like be horrible back, you know? I don't know.
Isn't Ace of Spades also dark academia?
Yes. Yes.
That's another one I actually want
It's
to
on my
read.
list. I really want to get to that one and see if I like that one.
Yeah. I guess what I'm seeing is like the ones that interest me are the ones that it's like, let's talk about the issues with Dark Academia, which makes sense.
Love a good satire.
Oh, that is good to know.
I do get that vibe. It does delve a lot into like language and the beauty of language, but I guess not in a pretentious way, just in a way of like, I think we talked about how we like characters that have passions and hobbies, as in they're very passionate about languages and
Yeah. And like there's definitely like a difference between a book being really deep and thoughtful versus pretentious, you know? I'm not saying that books that deal with a lot of themes are pretentious because like I love theme driven books, so
but yes. Big discussion all of a sudden. The Shining is another example of a book and film that are different. Have you read The Shining, Kasha?
Yes.
Yes.
A couple of times, yeah.
Mhm.
It's true. The movie is really different. Basically, Stanley Kubrick didn't want Stephen King to be involved, so they had a fight. And for many years, Stephen King hated the movie. I think he's come to terms with it, but I enjoyed both, but they are quite different from each other.
It has a sequel, right?
Yes.
Was he more involved, or was it?
Well, the sequel is made by Mike Flanagan, who is one of my favorites, like new directors of horror. And it is a lot more. He tried to do something like he tried to be faithful to Stephen King's book and faithful to Stanley Kubrick's movie to please everybody. So he tried to make a sequel of both at the same time. Like he tried to make the book justice, but also to be a sequel of the movie.
And did it work?
I think for the most part, a lot of people really, really love that one.
Okay. You must be excited for, as you mentioned, like the Midnight Club then, because isn't that him again?
It's coming out tomorrow. Yes, by Mike Flanagan. Yes. I'm like, tomorrow I'm out for like 10 hours or how many episodes it has. Nobody told me.
Do I need to look first for that, do you think? Because I really want to watch it, but now
It's
I'm thinking,
short.
oh, okay.
It's not too long. I had it somewhere. It's not really long. It's like a tiny book. And it is not really horror. It's more kind of like drama and deals with grief because it's basically teenagers that are in end stages of like sickness and they know they're going to die, so they go to a hospice and they make a pact and be like, the first one to die needs to come back as a ghost, so we know there's something else after this life. And it's quite depressing. Instead of horror, it's more like, and then I understood why Mike Flanagan picked it, because he's really good with grief. And I'm like, now I know why you wanted to turn this into a TV show. Like, I see it, like now I know why. But he's probably going to add a lot more horror than the book has, I'm sure of it. So I'm really excited about tomorrow and starting it.
Okay, well, update us and let us know what you think, maybe. As you're watching, you can give us a bit of a rundown of which we need to do first.
I also feel like basically now I just need to watch like all of the Mike Flanagan, because like grief and horror, that's literally my crossover right there for horror.
Yes.
Shall we do one last reading sprint? I'm aware that it's quite late for mums and also for the people in a +1 hour time zone. So if we go to, should we just do to 15 again, even though it's a bit shorter than 45?
Yeah.
Yeah, I will try to come back and say bye to everyone, but if I have to disappear to see Toddler, then thank you for having me. It's been really lovely. But yeah, hopefully I'll be able to say a proper goodbye after this one.
Yeah. Nice to meet you, Amy.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining.
I'm going to bow out now because I was actually starting to fall asleep a little bit at the end of the last sprint. But yeah, I've had a really lovely time tonight. Thank you all.
Thanks for joining. Get some sleep.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, bye.
I'm going to grab some food real quick and then I'm going to come back and read.
Okay. It's nice break time.
Yes.
And yeah, we've got one other person in the Netherlands as well. Okay, let's read till 45.
Okay.
Hi everyone. That is the end of our last reading sprint. I know some people just joined in that sprint, but I hope you had a good time getting into reading. How did it go for you three?
I finished my book.
Yay!
Nice book ticked off. It was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. But I was absolutely racing like the last 2 minutes. I thought if I've got 1 page left by the end of this sprint, I'm going to be so sad. So yeah, I literally just finished it.
Well
Nice.
done.
So thank you for the productive night. Somehow I finished a book and hit my word count for the night, which never happens. So
So I made it to page 100, which also doesn't happen so often anymore. When I start reading at night, I just fall asleep because I'm tired from the whole day. And when you finally have time to read, it's like, I'm falling asleep now. Great, thanks, brain. So yeah, the book is still quite sad in a way, which I was kind of expecting, and I'm curious to see because I've read this is his third novel, and I've read the other two before, and this one is quite different from the other two. Like it feels a lot more serious. So I'm curious to see where we're going with this one.
Nice.
It was good. I read a few more chapters. I'm now officially more than halfway through. So I'm definitely gonna try and finish this sometime today. We'll see. But yeah, things are picking up. I like the direction things are going. Still like hoping the main character like I don't know, loves herself. Like I mean that's like part of the journey of the book. But yeah, I'm liking it a lot more now, and I really want to finish the series because I really enjoyed it, but it's just like taken me way too long to read. Like I think I read the first book like 4 years ago. I don't know. It's been a while. So.
Join the long-term series.
Yeah.
What's going on? As for myself, I'm almost halfway through Mina and the Undead now, so
yay.
really got a lot of reading done these sprints, and it's very good.
Yeah.
Good to hear that. That's a
It's
nice end to my night.
Yeah, it's very easy reading. I'm really stretching it. Also, I'm using it for the I'm stretching it as in I'm using it for the flora and fauna prompt, and there's like ivy that's growing on the house.
I'm sure I put some plants in the book. Hey, there are plants. Plants grow off a lot of the balconies and stuff in New Orleans. I'll definitely describe that, so that's fine. You can have that one.
Getting my prompt. It's nice to see everybody else is reading as well. Trailers are very exciting. They are very exciting. I didn't even watch the actual trailer. I just watched somebody else's reaction to the Shadow and Bone season 2 trailer. I hope you enjoy finishing it. Staying up to finish your book. Lots of finished books. Further into Babel, another finished book. I'm glad you loved it. Such a good book. Celebrations.
Thank you.
And also, no, you can definitely double up. You can use one book for all the prompts if you want. Just do it however you want to do it. But yes, I'm very, very tired, and I'm sure there are people here who are more tired than me as it's late for them. But thank you, all of you, for joining me for these reading sprints, and all of you who are in the comments also reading. And yeah, I think that's it. Does anybody have anything they want to shout out before we close?
No, just thank you again for having us. It's been really lovely.
Yes, it's helped my reading because this week I haven't read much at all, so it's been great to at least start some books that I was excited about. So
yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, have a good night / day, everyone, and
yeah.
Bye.
Right. Okay.